Welcome to the Coachzing Show, offering you the latest creative content marketing tips to help you work less, earn more, and help more people. Are you a coach zinger yet? Join the community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come to discover the latest industry trends and partner with other like-minded professionals. Go to coachzing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coachzing Show. This is your host, Doug Foresta. This is the show we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And I know that you all understand the importance of networking. And that's something that I have an absolute expert with me today on networking and communicating. Susan RoAne is my guest, and I know you'll get a lot of this episode, so stay tuned. I'll say a bit about Susan and bring her right on. Susan RoAne, if you've ever walked into a gathering with a room full of strangers or even colleagues at a business or social event and felt uncomfortable, you're not alone. That's why Susan's first book, the classic bestseller, How to Work a Room, now available as a silver anniversary revised edition in print as an ebook, audiobook, has sold over 1 million copies in 13 countries. Susan has established her brand as an author who's an in-demand keynote speaker. She shared her message of connection and communication with audiences worldwide and in diverse publications, including the New York Times, the Sydney Telegraph, Financial Times, Globe and Mail, USA Today, and many others. Her clients include Coca-Cola, the U.S. Air Force, United Health Group, Yale University, Apple Computer, Procter & Gamble, and National Football League, Hershey Chocolate, and again, among others. Please join me in welcoming my guest, keynote speaker, bestselling author, and the mingling maven, Susan RoAne. Susan, thank you for joining me.
Oh, this is my pleasure. You're welcome.
Thank you. So yeah, let's talk about, I'm curious for you about what your favorite way is to get the word out about what you do to the people that most need to hear it.
Well, if I say podcasting is my new favorite way, I've lived the message for a lot of years. So I think the thing to say is there are so many ways, and it's got to be the way that the audience or whoever the market is. So number one, I go to events and I talk to people, and that gets the word out. I really love the world of podcasting because those are people who want to be listening, and they can listen at their leisure, not just because the show is on. But I'll do anything, except cook someone a meal.
I'm with you.
No, we're laughing because I told Doug earlier I have a sign on my door that says, Martha Stewart doesn't live here.
Everyone, that's not your thing, right?
And that goes back to what we were talking about.
Right.
When you know what your thing is, what I love more than anything, and I did it last night at a local nonprofit, is making people feel comfortable so that they can walk into a room. I was the MC, and then I just did about 15 minutes because they were going to have a little network schmooze reception. And I gave some tips, and the noise level when they talked to each other just got so loud. And I was so thrilled because what I help do is help them overcome that initial shyness. So what I think is, don't cook if you don't like it, but do what you love, because, that's that whole concept of play to your strengths. If you love doing something and you're good at it, that's what you should be doing. I have a line that I've used for years. Why should I cook a meal when there's a nice restaurateur trying to make a living?
I love it. So that's a great segue, actually, into my next question about what you see as the biggest mistakes. I mean, you've obviously worked with a lot of big brands and been very successful building up your own business. What do you see as the biggest mistakes that people make when they start to try to get out there and build a presence?
And I think that's what you just said, is build a presence. There's, for me, how to work a room. Mingling is different than networking. I can prove it because I have 2 separate books, How to Work a Room and The Secrets of Savvy Networking. No repetition. But I think building a presence takes a lot of different skills. One is the ability to socialize, talk to people. And I am so tired of people who say, ooh, networking. I don't like networking. It's really anything that's ever happened that's been good for most people have come through their circle, their network, their whatever you want to call it. So if you think of networking as using, I generally think those are the users that think that. But really networking, and I'm going to give you a word that was given to me by a client. He said, we have a word for it on the farm. Oh, what was the word, the agricultural word? He said, oh, we called it helping. And honestly, Doug, if we think of what we do as networking as helping others and being helped, who wouldn't want to help someone? Who wouldn't want to make someone's life a little easier? But if we think of it as, I've got an agenda and I'm going to walk into a room full of people and make you all follow my agenda, that is the biggest mistake. So when you create your presence, I'd like to say if you walk anywhere, go into any room, go to any event, go to any meeting with the idea of, I'm here, I've got something to offer, and I can help you, but I bet you can help me too. And know that it's reciprocal, it's mutually beneficial. But here's my most, and people might think this is shallow, and I'll totally accept that, but I want everyone to walk into any event, anything they have to do with the mindset of, I'm going to have a good time.
Right.
Because if you do, you will. And people will want to be around you. And you create a presence that actually people want to be around.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because I think that is part of the reason that people don't see networking as fun or enjoyable, because they think of it as this horrible thing that they have to do. And, people are going to try to stuff their business cards at me and sell me, life insurance. And I think the word fun doesn't get put in networking a lot.
I know. And then leave it to me. I've said this for years. And then there's another attitude shift. I had someone in one of my programs who said they went to their local chamber events, she and her husband who were in business together, and they always went, oh, God, I wonder who we're going to meet. But then one day they went and they met 3 different people. They had a good time. They had great conversations. They walked back and they said, that was fun. So what they do consciously is before they go anywhere, they say to each other, now listen to the tone difference. Gee, I wonder who we're going to get to meet.
Yeah.
So that's just having a little mind shift on that. In working room, I want to say this today. Whether you call it mingling, which I do, socializing, which it really is, it really isn't easy because according to the research on shyness, 90% of American adults at one time or another think of themselves as shy. Walking into a room full of people is daunting. But the good news is if you feel that way, whether you think of yourself as an introvert or shy or both, you're not alone because 90% of the people in the room feel the same way. So you will always find someone that you can relate to in any room.
You said something about, we didn't really explore this, and you had said something about the difference between mingling and networking, and I was really curious about that. You said, you wrote 2 different books and there's no overlap. What is the difference? If you could say a little bit about it.
Okay, this is the how to work a room definition. How to work a room is really circulating through any event or room, meeting people, having conversations, maybe short conversations, sharing an exchange, hopefully a smile, and starting the exchange that begins the connection, that begins the rapport, but over time builds the relationship. And what people don't understand is relationships take time. They happen over time, not overnight. And it's really, you meet one person, you might excuse yourself, go to someone else, you might take the person with you. And it really is the socializing that we were taught to do when we were growing up. That's what how to work a room is. Now that we know that the term work is, yes, it's about business, it's about connecting, it's about sharing, it's about saying what you do, offering help to someone who mentions something. And here's the key, follow up. And that's what networking is. And I'll tell you why they're not the same. There are people who we all know who are fabulous networkers. They do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. They follow up, they send you the article, they make the introduction. But for 90% of them, the thought of still going into a room full of people is still daunting. So they're not great minglers, but they're wonderful networkers. There are people who are great at mingling. Oh my gosh, so much fun with them. But they have not an ounce of follow-up, which makes them, according to Susan RoAne, a one-night stand. They're a hail, well-met, and hearty boy or girl. They don't follow up. They're not interested in creating anything long-term, whether it's for business or social. But if you have both of those skills and work on them, I'm going to socialize and meet people when I go to the event, and I'm going to stay in touch with them, which is what, by the way, networking is, staying in touch. Together, those two skills are magical.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that a lot. Thank you. That's a wonderful distinction. And yes, I know both of those people. I know those people who they can go in a room and they're amazing and they're so charming and you'll never see them again, but they're but they're really charming and amazing and you want to get to know them. But
they don't care. They don't want to get. They don't. That's all they do is they go and have they're the good time Charlies and Charlises. But they don't really want to have anything enduring. I gave a talk to a group in San Francisco, and there was one very handsome man there, age appropriate. He had a question for me. I couldn't wait to go over and find out what the question is. I almost fainted. He said to me, I really don't like when people come over to me, so I don't want to do what I don't like. So I'm a little reluctant to go over to people. Doug, I had to bite my tongue from saying, really? Why are you here?
Right.
Why do you show up if you don't want people to come over and talk to you and you don't want to go over to talk to people because you think you're respecting what your issue is? When you put yourself in any event, whether you're going to a convention, a meeting, a fundraiser, a neighbor's wedding, what you're saying by accepting and showing up is that you're going to be fully present, and that means you participate. You talk to other people. I read one of our doyens of socializing, the Blue Blood here in San Francisco. They once did an interview and she said, I invite people who are there to mix and mingle, who are there to socialize with other people. You don't want to invite someone who will only talk to the person they came with. And by the way, when we go to an event, don't only talk to the person you came with. And if you do go to an event with a person, don't act like you have Velcro sticking you together.
Right.
Because you know what? People aren't coming over to two people who look like they're engrossed in a conversation. So make sure that you have a split up and talk to other people plan and some signals to come back together and maybe introduce people to each other. We have a lot more tips on how to work room, but can I give you the really big tip to give our audience?
Please do.
Before you go anywhere, be it business or social, we are blessed with the Internet of Things, which, by the way, drives us all crazy. But you can go and you can Google and you can LinkedIn and you can Facebook and you can find out something about the organization, the event, the people. There's no reason to ever walk in anywhere cold if you just do a little bit of homework. Do your due diligence. The second thing, before you go to any event, and this is the Mingling Maven's tip, plan your own self-introduction. And in spite of what other people say, this is the Susan RoAne version. 3 traits of the self-introduction. It's 7 to 9 seconds. It's not a 30-second elevator pitch, which I might add, don't even give it an elevator because no one walked in the elevator to listen to you do that. The second tip is that you link your introduction to where you are. You can't have the same self-introduction at every place because you have to give those people their context for why you're there so they could talk to you. And the third comes from my good friend Patricia Fripp, phenomenal speaker and executive speech coach. She once said to me, RoAne, tell these people not to use their title. Give the benefit of what you do. And then that gives the other person the opportunity to ask a question, and then you're in a conversation.
Susan RoAne, thank you so much for joining me today. Please tell people how you work with people and also how they can reach you.
Okay, how I work with you is I speak for companies, universities, organizations, keynote speak. I'll do a breakout session. So yes, and I'm really fun when I speak. If I don't give the plug, who will?
That's right.
But the other thing I do is I've done, and for 20 years it is now this year, pickmybrainconsulting.com, where I have consulted and coached with people on two ways. One who would like to be authors, because of course I've written 8 books and most bestsellers, but certainly How to Work a Room has been amazing. And also for people who want to build their careers and people who need a little bit more support in the networking, mingling, maven, getting out there. And so I've done that. So I do work with people both ways. And how you can find me is, this is so easy, SusanRoAne.com, SusanRoAne.com. If you're listening to this and you have a question, burning question, email me. We'll come up with an answer. I'm a former teacher. Of course I'm going to give you an answer, and that's Susan@SusanRoAne.com. But if you really have a tremendously burning question, call me, 415-461-3915. We'll solve the problem. We'll give you an answer, and especially use that number if you'd like to hire me to speak to your company. I think that's the most fun, is turning some of the engineers and accountants and, different people in different professions, giving them the permission and tools. So call me, email me, visit my site.
Excellent. Susan RoAne, thank you for joining me. And thanks for sharing your words of wisdom with our listeners.
You are welcome, and it's been great fun, Doug. Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks, everyone, for listening. Remember that nothing you've heard here is going to make any difference in your life whatsoever unless you take some action. So get out there and make it happen. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at the Coachzing Show.
Thanks for listening to the Coachzing Show. Need help getting your book out of your head and onto paper? Need help marketing your books or speaking engagements? We can do it for you. Go to Coachzing.com to learn more. Are you a Coach Zinger yet? Join the Coach Zingers community, where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers meet. You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls, where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to Coachzing.com/community to join now.